This adorable reindeer cake is so easy to make using just an Oreo cookie, chocolate, and some parchment or wax paper. I started with my perfect chocolate cake recipe, baked in 4 6-inch pans to make a nice tall cake. While the layers cool, make your filling and frosting. I'm using chocolate chips and cocoa powder to make a really chocolatey buttercream for the frosting or the reindeer's fur, adding hot water to turn the cocoa powder into a paste so it mixes well into the buttercream, and melting the chocolate chips in the microwave or a double boiler. Let the chocolate and cocoa paste cool before stirring it all together so that you don't melt the buttercream. This is my 4-minute buttercream, and the recipe for this and the whole reindeer cake are in the video description and on BritishGirlBakes.com. Mix it all together by hand or with a mixer. You can use this for the filling as well as the frosting. Or for my cake, I'm blending 3 peppermints. These are delicious mixed into my 4-minute buttercream with a spoonful of cream cheese to make it less sweet. Spread a bit of buttercream onto the middle of a cake board and press your first cake layer down onto it to attach it there. Spread on a layer of filling, then place another cake layer on top, more filling, more cake, more filling, and the final layer of cake. Put this in the fridge for 30 minutes or the freezer for 15 minutes to set the filling, and then spread half of the chocolate buttercream onto the cake, covering the top and the sides. This is a crumb coat, and it's going to be covered up, so it doesn't need to be really neat. It just needs to cover the cake, so there's nowhere for crumbs to sneak through. It's much easier to do this when the cake is cold, so the layers don't slide around. Pop the cake back into the fridge for another 30 minutes, or the freezer for 15 minutes, and then spread on another layer of frosting, which is the final layer, so you want to get it as neat as possible. I have lots of free tutorials on how to get smooth frosting, and the link for those is in the top of the screen. Save your leftover chocolate buttercream for later. Now for the fun part, making the reindeer's face. For the ears, cut an Oreo in half and push a toothpick into the filling in the middle. Spread some of the leftover chocolate buttercream to cover these, and then place them on parchment or wax paper and put them into the fridge to harden. Draw the antlers onto a piece of paper, or print an image of clip art cartoon-style antlers, and then melt half a cup of chocolate chips, and to prevent it from seizing or burning or getting those ugly white markings after the chocolate sets, microwave for 30 seconds at 60% power, stir, and repeat. Spoon the chocolate into a Ziploc bag and cut a little piece off one corner, and then put a piece of parchment or wax paper over the antler outline, and squeeze the chocolate through the hole you cut to trace the antlers. Fill them in, and then use a spoon to smooth the chocolate, and then push a wooden skewer into the bottom of the antler and cover it with more chocolate. Do the same for both antlers, and then put them into the fridge to set. When they get cold, you'll be able to lift them up and push the wooden skewers into the cake. Ignore these ears. I tried a few methods and these did not work. For the Oreo ears, once they've set in the fridge, push them into the cake just like the antlers, and the toothpicks will hold them in place. Next, make stencils for the eyes by tracing around something round, like a large piping tip, onto parchment or wax paper, and cut out the circle, leaving the paper around it intact. Leave a bit of space around each eye for your stencils. Put about 2 tablespoons of the leftover chocolate buttercream into a bowl and add some black gel colouring, and then press the stencils against the cake and spread the black buttercream over them. The cake needs to go into the fridge for about an hour first to chill and set the frosting so it's not sticky. Spread the black buttercream to take off the excess to leave a thin, smooth layer behind, and then peel off the stencil. Do the same for the other eye. You can touch up any smudges around the edges of the eyes with a toothpick. I'm carving a smile using a petal piping tip because my hands are really shaky and I don't think piping it would be neat. But you can pipe yours if you prefer. If you carve it, a toothpick is great for picking off any crumbs of buttercream along the carved lines. Make another stencil for the nose, oval-shaped instead of round. I just drew this one instead of tracing anything. I set aside a little bowl of plain white buttercream before adding the chocolate at the beginning, and added red gel to make this red buttercream. Smooth the buttercream and peel off the stencil, and finally use the last little bit of plain white buttercream in a piping bag with a small or medium round piping tip to pipe little white dots in the eyes. With the rest of the chocolate buttercream, I'm piping some swirls onto the top of the cake, using a star-shaped tip, a 1M. This chocolate buttercream is really chocolatey, it's so good. The cake is safe to transport because the ears and antlers are secured with toothpicks and wooden skewers, so they won't topple over. But I do recommend keeping this cake in the fridge to keep everything fresh and stable. Take it out of the fridge about 2 hours before you serve it, so the cake and filling and frosting come to room temperature. And that's when they taste the best. This reindeer cake is so cute and also so delicious. Quick tip for serving. If you have any leftovers, press cling film or saran wrap against the cut surfaces to seal them so they don't dry out, and then put the cake into the fridge and it will stay moist for up to a week. Get the recipe on BritishGirlBakes.com and you'll find my cake school there too, where you'll learn hundreds of cake decorating techniques and designs. Thanks for watching.